that for the microfinance institutions that are joining us, this you are welcome to fill out the Green Index 3.0 so that you also have your results and overview of your environmental performance assessment. Today, we're going to focus on the first dimension, the environmental strategy. I'll check out very fast the chat and here, greetings to everyone joining us today from Kenya, from GIZ, from Uganda, from Philippines, from Ghana, from Amsterdam, Luxembourg. Very nice. I see also old peers, colleagues, whom we have been working with. Welcome and very happy that you have joined. So I'll get started. Thank you to e-MFP team for the support, and let's get in. So as you know, this is the webinar series. Today is the first session. Every week we will have one of these sessions. In English, I'll be giving the first two today and next week, and then Davide Forcella will deliver the session 3 and 4. I'll be giving the sessions in Spanish, all of them from 1 to 4, and each time is a different link, so don't forget to register after this session for the next ones. For the participants that would like to have a certificate, you must attend to all of them, to all of the sessions, and then you will receive a certificate from the e-MFP and Action Group. So what are the objectives today? We have, it will be an intense session. We will have a first initial understanding of what is the standard environmental strategy about and what are related best practices. This focused on 4 case studies that we are bringing them to you that we have conducted or we have researched on them in the framework of the Green Map project. And we will develop the basis of assessing the status of the participants' institutions in relation to the standard for the FSPs that are participating today. And you will be able to identify what are the gaps that still require action. So the agenda, first we are going to talk on or give an introduction on green inclusive finance and the tool Green Index. And then we're going to see what are the good practices, what is the content of the dimension, the indicators, and how to fill it out. So let's get started with the Green Inclusive Finance and Green Index. The Green Index has been developed by the Green Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance Action Group, which is a unique multi-stakeholder think tank dedicated for environmentally responsible inclusive finance. It was launched in February 2013 by the e-MFP, and up to date it has more than 150 affiliate members with more than 75 institutions. Our objectives are to discuss the current challenges and strategies in green inclusive finance, improve the knowledge with this type of offers of workshops, enhance the cooperation between the stakeholders on this topic, develop dedicated tools such as the Green Index, publish and disseminate the results and findings, and enhance the interest and concrete commitment from microfinance institutions, investors, consultants, networks, and more practitioners in green inclusive finance. Today, we have not only financial service providers participating, but as well multilateral organizations, consultants, academia, and we're very pleased to have you all so that we can disseminate the knowledge on the Green Index, that you can implement it, also be ambassadors consultants supporting the financial institutions, and share this tool for evaluating and supporting the FSPs in their environmental performance management. Let's see here whether in the chat or if you can, I'm not sure if you can raise your hand here in this mode, but for whom is the first time that you are listening about the Green Index 3.0 or Green Inclusive Finance? Who has already attended the previous Green Index sessions that we had last year by December, November? Anyone? I don't see yet here the... Thank you, Kate. Okay. So for all of, besides Kate, for all of them, for all of you, you have already some knowledge on the Green Index. First time. Okay. So I'll be very good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing about your experience. And it's great that you, even if it's a first time, feel welcome. Yves, I hope you are in Luxembourg and not in very early in the morning in Dominican Republic. Okay, very good. So as first time, I will be going on the basics of how we define green inclusive finance from the action group. I will make an emphasis on these three concepts that you see on the screen on how we view that it's green finance. And I'll refresh some of the definitions that we have seen in the sector in the last decade. And then we're going on the green index more in detail. So from my work, I've been supporting microfinance institutions in the past 15 years in green inclusive finance. And if you might remember, some of you, that when we were thinking about green, we relate directly only with solar panels or with cook stoves or more energy related products. And in these years, we have seen that it's not only about just creating this energy product, but rather what is the commitment of the financial institutions in protecting the environment, but as well, at the same time, with this triple bottom line impact, how is people, planet, profit aligned, and having this translated into what can be actions that we can do as institutions in order to have all of them in its best possible. So the three concepts that we have is here: vulnerability, adverse impacts, and economic opportunities. When we're talking about vulnerability, now we are saying microfinance institutions work for vulnerable populations. Here in green inclusive finance, we are relating in vulnerability is how are the clients and also the institution affected by the environment, whether or environment or poor infrastructure or conditions that are not helping in the adaptation or resilience of the institution. So let's have the topic here: vulnerability. Yeah, how are clients and the institution affected? On the other corner, we have adverse impacts. Is how are the activities of the clients and of the institution affecting the environment? So actively affecting, whether with agriculture practices or the diesel usage, the energy usage, the fuels, or with the residues or contamination that can cause after the activities that are financed. And last thing are the economic opportunities, how green can satisfy the demand and increase the revenues of the clients. whether it's adapting to climate change or is enhancing their resilience or is using more efficient systems that will decrease expenses of the clients or the institutions. Yes, it's true. Natalia is telling, isn't it reflecting double materiality? Exactly. This is reflecting this double materiality and how we are, and in order to differentiate between what are the clients doing and what is the institution doing or being affected, we have divided this into these three concepts: vulnerability, adverse impact, and economic opportunities. And you will see these concepts also then in the indicators that we have along the 4 dimensions of the green index. So it's clear so far here the concepts to all of you that it's the first time. Thumbs up, yes, all good. Because we will be repeating, and then so that we are all aligned on these concepts. Very good. So we have, as we see these 3 concepts, once we have vulnerability, adverse impacts, and economic opportunities, not green inclusive finance, it's at this nexus between resilience generation, ecosystems conservation, and generation of better and more resources for the clients and also then for the institution and enterprises. And the 2 or the concepts or definitions that the words that we are using are the indirect and direct. So we have the activities of the clients. So indirect is what is the indirect impact of the microfinance institution, is what are the activities of the clients doing, their adverse environmental impacts and their vulnerability. And direct is about the institution itself, their adverse environmental impacts and vulnerability. So we have these 5 keywords that we will see along. If there is then anything to clarify, we will have the opportunity to do so. So what is the Green Index about? The Green Index is a tool that is for the financial service providers. It's not for the clients. It is meant for assessing the FSPs' current performance in green inclusive finance and defining an action plan and how to improve that performance. The Green Index started in 2014. It was a short survey that was developed by the few members that had the action group at that time. And over the years, we are in the 3rd version, already very expanded and very detailed, and with a work and experience behind, which now in this 3rd session has gathered all the feedback that has been collected from FSPs, consultants, and impact investors. As a tool, it serves for raising awareness, for the evaluation, for enhancing the commitment of institutions in this topic, for the planning, prioritizing, monitoring also the progress of the environmental performance. Now, this tool, the Green Index in 2021, as you may know already, the Universal Standards of Social and Environmental Performance Management, we have worked together with CERIS and SPTF in order to align the update of the Green Index from its 2nd version to the 3rd edition, to the 3rd version, so that the dimension 7, which is a set of 3 dimensions and few questions, is aligned also with this, with the Green Index 3.0. So once you fill out the Green Index 3.0, it is also filling out the dimension 7. You can decide whether you want to share the results or use the results as well for your then for your audit or for your internal overview of your environmental performance management. So the Green Index is a more detailed evaluation, and the dimension 7 is reduced but gives you like what are the main points to address in terms of the definition of the environmental strategy, the risk management, and product and offer. So the Green Index has these 4 dimensions: environmental strategy, the identification of environmental risk and opportunities, management of those environmental risk and opportunities, and the 4th one in green products and services. Now in its current version, once you fill it out, then in the digital tool, you have a scoring in each of the dimensions, and then this scoring will tell you in which of the dimensions are you have more actions or more strategies implemented there, and it will depend on what are your objectives as institution, where are you going to focus. It's not the objective that everywhere it has to be in 100%, but rather to see what are your needs as institution, what are your needs as in regards to your clients, and then address those in regards to what can you do in terms of your risk management, opportunities, and then the offer in financial and non-financial services. So if we see this more in detail, we have the standards. These are the 4 standards: environmental strategy, how is it defined and put in place, the identification of environmental risk and opportunities, the 2nd standard, the 2nd dimension, the 3rd one, the management of those risks and opportunities, and then the green products and services. And for each of these dimensions, we have 2 essential practices. First, the definition of the strategy and how it is implemented. On the identification of indirect risk and opportunities, that means of the clients, and the identification of direct risk and opportunities of the institution, the management of indirect risk and opportunities, and the management of those direct risk and opportunities, and then financial products and services and non-financial products and services. And we see here what are the main indicators that we are evaluating. So far until here, do you have any questions? All good. We have a global overview of the Green Index. Yeah, thank you, Yves. Okay, so we are starting now. We have an hour and a half. So this is an hour and a half, 10:20. We will have now 60 minutes dedicated to good practices and see as well the different the tool and how to fill it out. So we start with environmental strategy. We're going to review the case studies that are from the green map that you can visit in this tool. And we will have a look at the cases of Asilasime Solidarité from Togo, Cameroon from Cambodia, Fortune Credit from Kenya, and Fundación Génesis Empresarial from Guatemala. Joseph asks if there is any rationale why indirect risks come before direct risks. It's a good question, Joseph. We are, so in green inclusive finance, we are, coming from the definition, is everything customer centric. So indirect risks, saying an institution is always serving the needs of their clients, and only by understanding those needs, then the services and products should be defined. And that's why it was first the evaluation of the clients before the evaluation of the institution. But for the scoring itself and for the evaluation, there is no how do you say, like, there is no There is no influence between doing first the indirect risk and then the direct risks. You can also skip and do first the evaluation of the institution's risks and then the evaluation of the client's risks. Okay? So it's only like the order of how the standards were made, but it does not affect the scoring or the evaluation itself. All right. Then we have, so after those case studies, we also have, just to reemphasize of the work of the action group, we have launched a training on environmental strategy and on the full topics of green inclusive finance. We have these trainings in English, in Spanish, and in French. We developed this as PowerPoint presentations to be used by the FSPs, but also for consultants, impact investors that want to train their financial service providers. And here we have videos, we have the modules, explore the materials, and you can go more in depth on these topics. So when we start, and for those that are exploring the links, the grid map doesn't require login details. You just explore. Login details are for the back end on the data management, but it is open and accessible, like all the information is accessible to everyone. Just click the link and explore the tool. And while you go exploring the tool, now if anyone would like to open their microphone or share with us in the chat, what does it mean for you to have a green strategy? Or when you came today, when you registered to the training, what comes to your mind of having an environmental strategy? And what does it mean to implement it? Even you don't have to do a full sentence, full paragraph, a brainstorming of your thoughts. It's also good. What does it mean to have a green strategy? It is existential, yes. So it should be like the core, the basic for those that care about the environment or for everyone. It is about doing good while getting good returns. And the question is, how do you know that it is good? Yeah. It is part of the CSR, corporate social responsibility. Dildora, we struggle with this, whether it is part of the CSR or not, or if it should be a core strategy of the institution. For good of earth and all human, and it means preparedness towards risk and opportunities for climate finance. I like the word, Sylvie, I like the word preparedness towards the risk, because prepared means also that you have to think about, not that you have to set an action. It is embedded in the routine and core. So embedded, it's about the implementation, and it's true. And yeah, ideally that it's a routine. It is the intention of a financial institution to adopt green practices. Be it as the intention. So the intention is about like preparing the strategy. Yes, we have an objective. The institutions might lose some customers. Wow. Oh, Yana, let's discuss this. Why could the institution lose customers when implementing a green strategy? I like this discussion. Avoid risk and find opportunities. More, you mean about which avoiding climate risk or environmental risk and finding opportunities, promoting sustainable practices? So in the definition, one thing is defining what is the strategy, and the other is about like how are we going to promote products to help our clients and ourselves face the threats of climate change. That's why are we doing a strategy that aims to promote sustainability. Yes, Alan, that's the main objective of the environmental strategy. From Donatus, the adaptation to have adaptation and mitigation focus, optimizing resources use while reducing waste and improving lives. Yes. Implementing sustainable and inclusive strategy to support financial inclusion and climate-related strategy. And it is a way to access responsible finance. So I see here that we have different views. I see Yves from your role in impact investment. It is true. Once you have an environmental strategy, then you can discuss about how to implement that strategy and access responsible finance. The institution might lose customers whose businesses are harming the environment. Yeah, okay. So that means once you are conscious, and I have talked also with this type of institutions, once the institution is conscious that these activities that they are financing are harming the environment, but they are low-hanging fruits, no? So if you are financing pesticides and the demand is there for financing these pesticides, but the institution needs or is having thoughtful environmental strategy and will say no, then we'll lose these customers, but it's giving a message of how or which type of fertilizers or agricultural practices should be implemented. And hopefully this comes with training, with capacity building, with awareness raising, and alternatives for the clients. And Karen, green strategy is like having triple bottom impacts: institution, client, and environment. Very good. FSP can implement by identifying current environmental impacts. And it's missing the last one. So FSPs can implement by identifying current environmental impacts and then how to address those impacts. And we're coming to more define the strategy helps institutions to have a focus on implementing climate and sustainable finance measures to help protect the environment. Cynthia, yes, so we are getting there. Very good. So the institution a strategy defined, and Chris here had the time. Welcome, Chris. Strategy defines mission and values for sustainability impact, and implementing it means outlining the objectives, activities, and roadmap toward achieving the strategy and what success looks like. It is very clear on the implementation and on that definition. So the environmental strategy, it is about how the environmental, so how in the green index, what are we evaluating here is how the environmental strategy is defined, how it is put in place, if there are included roles and responsibilities within the institution, and how the institution monitors and reports on the implementation of its environmental strategy so it is brought to life. And its strategy, as Yves says, can improve the client's resilience on the long run, not only the clients, Yves, but also the institutions, and shift to eco-friendly materials, and from printing to paperless process and technologies. Yes, this can be one of the objectives at the Tunji at the institutional level, okay? So in the dimension, if we're going to have a look to the green index, the dimension 0 here, if e-MFP, if you can share already the digital tool so that you can come accompany with me already with the overview of the questionnaire. So if you see in the tool itself, and we explore what are those questions about. We are assessing how is the institution defining it. There is no right and wrong. There is not only one objective, because that an environmental strategy in Uganda might be very different from ones in Philippines or one in Ghana or another one in Peru. The point is, if the institution is clear about we have an objective, we have a mission, a vision, we have responsibles in place, we have a budget, we have reports, we have a strategy that is aligned also to our institutional strategy, or that it's part of our institutional strategy. We are aware that we're going to lose those clients. We are aware that we have that we are promoting sustainable practices. We are going to align to international standards or policies or regulations, and how are we going to do it? Okay. Once you are in the tool, you will see that it has, you will see it has these two essential practices. One is the definition, defining the strategy, and the other one is how are you implementing the strategy. That it's then, as Chris was saying, with specific objectives, with specific activities, with a roadmap and responsibilities. And then in these essential practices, you will have a list of indicators or actions that the institution will or can, or we hope that it's implementing. So let's see about these good practices. Now we will have a look in these good practices. What are those indicators about? And if you can share your screen, like listening to me and also having a look to the tool, or you can focus only here on the Zoom. We have here the list of indicators. The institution's environmental engagements are formalized in the mission, vision, values. The institution has a documented strategy that specifies its intention to achieve environmental goals. The institution's environmental strategy specifies items required to implement the strategy. The institution operates in accordance with applicable laws and regulation on mandatory industry initiatives, international standards and regulations, green taxonomy, or the institution has established partnerships. The institution has assigned an annual budget for the achievement of its environmental strategy. These are the qualitative indicators, and we have also quantitative indicators that the institution can also track. For instance, here, the annual budget assigned for the achievement of its environmental strategy. Yeah. And the link was above in the chat, but it's here. Thank you. So what do you see in common about these indicators? As I said, like this is not, and when you differentiate between the different tools and see the tool also as an opportunity of learning what are other institutions doing, think that all these questions that we have been collected from feedback from impact investors, from FSPs, from practitioners, from networks. We had over 300 stakeholders contributing to the finalization of this tool. Here, these actions is not saying yes, no, or partially. It's about saying, are we doing this? Are we doing, or are we already implementing this type of activity? Internally, within your institution, while you are filling out the tool, you can discuss, is this a priority for us? Is this something that we can implement in our FSP? Is this something that it's important and relevant and it is feasible for us? You can, as I recommend when I work together with the financial institutions, that you can also define your short-term, medium-term, long-term objectives. If we don't have yet a specific partnership, yeah, for instance, no, we don't have yet a partnership in environmental strategy or in our actions that we have defined. But we know that in short term, we need to define what are our environmental engagements and to define them in our mission, vision, values, because once they are defined, then we can see what we need. And this can be already defined in a short term. Then medium term, you can define a time to identify what are those regulations in place at country level that are relevant for you, that you should be aware of. What is a green taxonomy in your country, if there is one, where that you should also be aware of and identify and work with or align your products and offer to that. And then long term, if you have specific goals, or if you have a budget that you can increase on the long term with specific partnerships, or with a strategy on how to increase it for your activities, you can already make a roadmap of your priorities. Okay? So far, give me a thumbs up or give me a yes if you are following the tool. You are seeing here the indicators. Now, if it's clear on how these indicators are filled out, that we are on the first essential practice, and and there is no question. Yes, yes. Give me more yes, and then we go already into the case studies. We start with Asilasime Togo. All good? Yeah. Any questions so far? Comments? Aufregung, how do you say Aufregung? Surprises? All good. Thank you. Thank you, Vidasa. All right. So you might say, okay, now it's clear. Now I see what are the questions, but what could microfinance institutions do? And give me an example of how they are doing this. We have talked with several microfinance institutions in the past years. We have worked with them closely, also documented what are the actions. We're not saying that these are the ultimate, and that this should be that once you do this will be like the goal pathway for you. But we will see here that there are some, and once you reflect on what are these institutions doing, there is a common denominator of all of them, is the willingness to address some issues that they have seen whether within their institution or with their clients, and how do they want to address it. And here we're going to talk first about how are these institutions defining their strategy, what are they doing, what were the elements, and then how are they implemented. Usman, we're curious to know if the environmental taxonomy of any country have specific focus on microfinance institutions. This is an outside question, but it is true that the current taxonomies that have been developed at country level are mostly tackling commercial banking sector, not yet at the macro level. But I know from the work of the Alliance for Financial Inclusion that there is intention from central banks and from the working group of inclusive green finance that they have to understand what are those needs from microfinance institutions, or for institutions that are working in inclusive finance, in order to, and also addressing women's needs, in order to bring down those taxonomies to the needs of microfinance institutions. I think that's so far. I know the work from Morocco, the work from Jordanian, also the advancements in Colombia in regards to bringing down this green taxonomy, and the latest is in Rwanda. But also, Osman here, more to talk on regards to taxonomies, not environmental taxonomy, but green taxonomy in inclusive finance. So let's start with Asilasime Solidarité in Togo. Any of you had the opportunity to visit? I see many participants from Africa. Did any one of you had a chance to visit Asilasime Togo at the SAM in Lomé? Not yet, not the SAM that we had 2 years ago. Well, if anyone had the chance, here we could have like this first encounter and see directly what they were doing. But if not, no worries. Here we're going to explore what are they doing. So Asilasime Solidarité They have an environmental commitments that are formalized in their environmental strategy that was adopted in 2022, and their objectives was to first to be a reference in the field of microfinance in environmental protection, like being pioneer on this subject in the whether in the country or the region or in the full community, manage internal and external environmental risks. That means at the customer level and also at the institutional level. So they say internal and external instead of indirect and direct, and promoting ecological and resilient solutions. Yeah, so we see here pioneering in terms of how is communicating the institution to the sector, and in terms of risk management and the promotion of green products. To be a benchmark, so in the first objective, to be a benchmark for environmental protection, improving the institution's environmental performance as measured by the Green Index 3.0, and strengthening its position in the field of green inclusive finance. And this will be, so once they have their Green Index assessment and as well communicating what they are doing, they are positioning themselves in how are they addressing environment protection. On its objective number 2 or 2A, first the internal risks, they are reducing the production of plastic waste and cutting energy and paper consumption, installing solar panels at the head office and in 4 branches in Lomé, with installation planned in the remaining branches by 2024, setting up a waste sorting system as a waste sorting and recycling system. And the third one on management of external risks, or number 2B, reducing the proportion of customers with a negative impact on the environment. So we see here a reduction, not totally exclusion, converting customers using chemical products to adopt organic storage solutions, converting charcoal or firewood sellers to develop their income-generating activities, discouraging restaurant owners and retailers from using plastic bags and packaging. Yeah. And the last one on promoting ecologic and resilient solutions, we see raising awareness and training agricultural credit customers in resilient and ecological farming practices, providing access to healthier, greener energy sources, and involving groups in plastic waste collection. So with this, do you see any, how do you see, what does what are your first feelings or your perceptions about these objectives? Thank you, Adentuji, for answering Usman and bringing the example of Nigeria, which is, we see here an example. It's not explicitly focused on microfinance institutions, but is this distinct category within its environmental taxonomy. So, Kate, yeah, that's your first thought. It's how are we going to measure the results about the objectives? Good. Yeah, interesting. Yes. So once I like this, I like this approach, Kate. That means once you set objectives, objectives should be smart, should be measurable, achievable. So that means if you're setting these objectives, you should set up also targets. Yeah. Alan says they will need budget in implementing the objectives. Okay, I see about Alan. The budget mean mainly on managing the internal risks, right? And Sylvie is saying the mission of the institutions and the objectives not related to services directly. Sylvie, here in objective 3, it's addressing the services. So remember, the first one was positioning the institution. The second one is about the management of risks, direct and indirect. and the third one on the services to the clients. If targets that allow clients to see a short-term benefits. Yes, in the well, if in the first one, it's difficult about like the short-term benefits, like the raising awareness and the training. But the energy sources, like the solar solutions, yes, you see directly the short-term benefits, and the plastic waste collection, it has also direct benefits. What else? Anybody? What are your thoughts about these objectives? Did the FSP initially have the capacity to reach these goals, or did they also have to build their capacity? Very good, Yuli. So they build, it's like this, like I'm building now your capacities in order to in order to understand how to define an environmental strategy. They have received support, and they have been trained on what is environmental performance. They have implemented before the Green Index 2.0, that was as an optional dimension in the universal standards in SPI 4. So they knew about these different dimensions: strategy, risk management, products. Yeah. Whether they have reached or not the goals, no, they have goals for 2024. They have to recheck again. On the case study, that we did last year, these were the dimensions that we had. But yes, so there has been a training for the institution to set up those goals. And Nana, the objectives call for lead implementers or small compliance working group. Very good. Yes, in each institution, we need always somebody behind a working group to do this. And Yana, I'm surprised about the goal to help firewood sellers generate different sources of income. I'm wondering if a microfinance institution can offer such a service. Yes, it can. And here, and this is one of the, I think we will see this along the full trail in all the sessions. What are those challenges that microfinance institutions have in order to change mindsets of clients, or change practices, or change income activities? We have microfinance institutions that that they say from moment zero, this is our exclusion list. And this exclusion list is not even discussed. There is no discussion. Or if you go to the institution and you see the exclusion list and say, okay, I cannot go to that institution, I'll go to the next one. There are other institutions that will tell you that they do the categorization of your environmental risk, A, B, C, if you use IFC standards, or internal environmental risk categorization. And then I think a right approach, and what I also advise to microfinance institutions is, if not, there are already activities that perhaps you cannot do an exclusion or say no to this portfolio segment, but you can already standardize specific recommendations and a follow-up action to the client, saying these are activities that are affecting the environment, they're having an adverse impact. How can we work together with the client in order to see other alternatives for your income generation activity, for your micro enterprise, and see if it's possible to change those activities. If it's not firewood, can you look for pellets? Or is there any other fuel more environmentally friendly that it's available in the region and that you can as well sell? So Nisi says, for me, the challenge is the viability of the different sources of income for the firewood sellers, as here in Nigeria, firewood selling is a very lucrative business. It is, yes, it is. And now, depending on the country, whether you have policies or if you have a financial institution, if it can drive and change intentions of the clients. Oh, and then ask about the budget. And here are the different topics and if maybe you can also comment on this. So budget from institutions, and then you have here the strategy. Once an institution understands and sets up their targets, in this case, let's see here with expected results. Improve the environmental performance, reduce in-house plastic waste, reduce internal energy and paper consumption, reduce the proportion of customers with negative impact, raise awareness, encourage at least 50% of the customers using chemical products, encourage 30%, discourage the use of plastic bags to have enabled 60% of customers to access healthier, more environmentally friendly energy sources, involve at least 25% of the groups in plastic waste collection. There are here indicators that are addressing specific costs that the microfinance institution already have. These costs can be, once you implement the change, can be also savings to the institution. If there are other, if those savings are not enough, this microfinance institution has worked with its impact investors and have earmarked a budget of 40,000 euros, including 10% from its own resources for their budget. That means the 90% is being negotiated or established with a partner that is co-financing the environmental strategy. And what we saw as well from these targets is that there was a measurement before. So they know where they are starting, and then it will be tracked. And we hope that this is tracked consciously and regularly, and that we see in some years where is the microfinance institution standing and have those objectives been achieved. How are they doing this monitoring? With quarterly scorecards, annual review, midterm review, and final evaluation. The processes to achieve strategy objectives will be monitored with the dimension 7 of the universal standards. That means they are doing again this evaluation and see where do they stand. So we close the case from Asilasime Solidarité. Now we're going to have a look to the good practices by Cameroon in Cambodia. In all these cases that we are visiting, you have as well the website from the institution. You have access as well to the case studies where you can read more in detail about what they are doing. And here we will explore together, and the idea is let's discuss and use this opportunity with the questions, with your thoughts about reflecting what are those actions from the institutions. So Cameroon has a documented strategy specifying the intention for achieving two main environmental goals. That the first one is fostering the adoption of green practices and technologies to meet the client's demand for green practices among agricultural SMEs and offer renewable energy technologies. So you see that the strategy is mainly focused on the services. Sylvie, in this case, it's only about the services for the microfinance, for the microfinance clients, but as well, whether they don't have here the documented strategy, these two goals, but they are doing as well actions within their institution. They have established partnerships with technology providers and with value chain management platforms that aiming to integrate all actors in their rice value chain. And they have as well put in place a specific budget and indicators in terms of what is their water, energy, and paper consumption, and review that annually. As they have quantifiable targets in their kilowatt hours of electricity use, cubic meters of water consumed, and paper used at head office. And they publish these results as well in their annual reports. And the institution is very aware of what are those industry standards. They are following also the dimension 7 of the universal standards. They have filled out the Green Index 3.0 and report it as well in their website, and their actions, or they have not, they express their actions as commitments to the SDGs, especially number 6 in clean water and sanitation, and SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities. And because they are also partners with other impact investors, they fill out their green performance tools. Yeah, with this case study, not even if short, we see that a main difference with Asilacime Solidarité, and it's that their goals and how they define their strategy is mainly about their offer to the clients, although they are also taking action in the resources that they are using at institutional level. So as we see there, this documentation, whether they define a strategy that it's more client-centric, but they know that in order to preach something, you have also to implement at your own institution and be aligned to those commitments. Any question here? No reaction, comment? I feel like you two were reacting too. No comment, all good. I lost you. We continue with the implementation of the environmental strategy. And I invite you all again to come back to the indicators and the tool itself. Are you with me? All good. Now we're going into the indicators of the tool. Give me a thumbs up. Yes. All good, Nisi. Thank you. We're following. Okay. All good. Thank you. Okay. So reacting to, let's go to the implementation of the environmental strategy. So what are those indicators? The institution defines the roles and responsibilities in implementing the environmental strategy. The board and management make strategic decisions based on environmental performance data. The institution trains board members and management on the environmental performance management responsibilities. The institution ensures the implementation of its environmental strategy. The institution implements a complete environmental and social management system. The institution has defined processes to monitor and the progress of implementing its environmental strategy. The institution has integrated indicators into its MIS that are used to track the implementation of its environmental strategy. The institution collects data on an ongoing basis to measure whether it is achieving its environmental goals. So as you see, it's not in the indicators. We're not evaluating what are those goals. Is it enough? Or are you addressing paper but not energy? It's about what are you doing? Are you at least doing these activities? Are you aware of the work that you need to do at personal level with your staff, at your data management level, and as well in terms of that monitoring that you need to do in order to make sure that you're implementing that strategy? And then how are you doing this with the quantitative indicators? So seeing if they have staff dedicated if the KPIs that have been achieved, the percentage of the fulfillment of that KPI, if there is an awareness of the total obtainable market that can be reached with the financial products, what is the frequency of the reporting, the number of meetings, the percentage of clients that have reduced their vulnerability to climate change, environmental degradation, or biodiversity loss. So here you have both qualitative indicators, quantitative indicators, and inspiration. If you are not doing enough, what else could you do as FSP? And now let's go in detail with a case of fortune credit in Kenya. We have here more indicators: institution assessing and managing the proper implementation, having data to collect the evolution of client or portfolio vulnerability, the evolution of client or portfolio level adverse environmental impacts, the evolution of its own adverse environmental impacts or vulnerability. The institution reports environmental performance data. So one thing is to say, yes, we're caring about this. The other thing is we're caring with data, and that data is giving us the instructions on what is else to do for the next year or for the next action term that we have in our institution, and being conscious that and very careful about how you are measuring and tracking that data. Okay, so with this implementation, now let's have a look to the case of Fortune Credit. They were finalists on the European Microfinance Award, an institution that I admire very much in Kenya. How Fortune Credit's environmental strategy covers the period from 2022 to 2027. They attended one of these workshops that I give on green inclusive finance in 2022, and after the workshop, they have worked on their environmental strategy. They defined clear roles and responsibilities, because they say they identified they have challenges in terms of energy access, the resilience of their clients, how are they managing the climate risks, and a focus on digital solutions. And in order to address these objectives, they work also internally within the institution. So the roles are: on the board, a director serves as the impact and environment champion, the CEO as leader implementing the green strategy. They have a social and environmental manager, dedicated full-time staff member who acts as the impact and environment champion at the operational level, and all staff are responsible for achieving the environmental strategy. How are they putting this in place? So once they have, as the board and management, track and use environmental data for each environment-specific objective that they have, and set up targets. So they have targets set up for all the departments, including green products delivery, direct environment footprint targets, training for current and new staff, client awareness session, partnerships as a means to bring technology and knowledge at lower cost. Technical partners train the clients in the use of technical solutions. They are offering biodigesters, solar water pumps, cool solar freezers, electrical e-motorcycles, solar panels, improved cook stoves. So they have a wide range of technologies and technology to efficient collect, analyze, and share data. They have index-based insurance products in real time, and they also do needs assessments of their clients in terms of energy access, water sanitation and hygiene, and food security, in order to see if where do they stand and how can they address their services and products to their clients' needs. Then on the social environmental management system and procedures, Fortune Credit set up a social and environmental management system and procedures in February 2023, based on the Green Index and the IFC standards. including the integration of social and environmental thinking into Fortune Credit's main line functions, the lending operation, and other staff functions. And they share the results and ensure a feedback loop with internal reports and overview of that data that they have, and they discuss internally how they can improve their performance. And then the last one on the monitoring progress. So they have these key KPIs, key performance indicators integrated into their MIS and collected on a daily basis. In terms of transition to clean energy, the total loans disbursed, women and youth as clients of clean energy products, the share of the portfolio in clean energy products, amount of savings collected by energy products like of their clients. The management of climate risk, what are the number of loan applications, the rejections based on the exclusion list out of the total number of loan applications. And I want to emphasize here on the number of rejections because I work with microfinance institutions that they don't track this number about this number of rejections or number of discussions that they have with clients on this type of activities we are not financing, or how to find alternatives of their income generating activity in order to have a more environmentally friendly micro enterprise or financial activity. So this is related to the discussion that we had before. And then on the most common risk identified, most risky sectors financed. Working with data gives you as well, if we see what are those risks, and we're working with the IFC standards, and we see that we have a large demand in this type of activity. We know that that activity is high risk. What can we do in managing those climate risks? Can we offer an alternative? Can we raise awareness? Can we do a specific campaign? Can we look for partnerships? Can we look for a program that can help us in addressing this portfolio segment that we are attending, but we know that it's a risky sector? Working with that data, it's very important for the institution, and I encourage you to do this practice. And the other one, creating resilience among customers, number of financial literacy talks on insurance, total amount of insurance premiums funded, total amount of insurance premiums not funded, number of clients for whom 20% of the insurance premiums financed through Fortune Credit, the total loans disbursed for smart agriculture products, or the share of the portfolio in smart agriculture products. So data that will feel that is fitting then their work, their strategy, definition, and then the implementation. So you have now the link as well to the case study. You're receiving all the links, and now we go to the last one before then exploring further the tool. Any question about Fortune Credit, reaction, thoughts, surprises, comments? Tell me. We have 20 minutes left. And then we are completing this first dimension. Anyone? All good? We go with Fundación Génesis Empresarial in Guatemala. So Julie, we're talking a lot about data for this case. How was it collected? They work with different types of data. From HEDERA, we have supported Fortune Credit with tools for client data collection, for needs assessment, on energy access, on water, sanitation and hygiene, on food security. We train their team for doing data collection. They use not the open source tool that we use, ODK collect the data, we enable dashboards, and then the dashboards tell them what are their needs. On the insurance data, they use also blockchain technology for that. They use the data in order to see what are those also what are those premiums, insurance, fund, like premiums collected, not collected, and so on. And they also have very, like in their MIS, it's not only just a green loan, but for each green loan, which technology is financed, what is replacing what, and then follow up with their tracking. Yeah. So they use different methodologies for data tracking, and then they rely on that data for updating their strategy. Apart from energy savings at the customer level, are there other parameters that can be tracked? Yeah, well, from energy savings, you can also track then carbon offsets. I'm not sure, like they didn't mention here that they are doing this, but they could have done it. And depending on the technology, they could also track what are those, yeah, fuel savings or expenses that can be that are avoided changing fuels in terms of the cookstoves or the biodigesters, or as well the solar water pumping. And for Alan, are the SDGs good source or guide in developing environmental strategy at the institutional level? Yes, well, SDGs is like an umbrella. If you have at the end, like coming back to the triple bottom line impact, the main goal of the financial institution is improving livelihoods of their clients. If you go in depth on how can you improve those livelihoods, institutions can understand what are those specific needs that they have. Those specific needs are your basic needs fulfilled in food security, in shelter, in energy access, in water, sanitation and hygiene, in women empowerment, in education. So SDGs are this umbrella where if you find or if the FSP say here I've seen most of the problems are in terms of water or in health because of water and food security, and we are going to address those issues, then SDGs is a guide for developing that environmental strategy. But Alan, and this is here is very important, is we are not only addressing that vulnerability of the client, but remember also the other two concepts: the reducing adverse environmental impact, the adverse impacts, and fostering economic opportunities. So we cannot only finance, or it's not the goal only to finance the toilet because of the toilet, because of that need, but how can we put in place an approach where we are also fostering economic opportunities, and then here, for instance, financing those workers that are helping the toilet constructions or water storage constructions for the clients, and how are we reducing the adverse environmental impact, so that it's not only addressing that vulnerability, but also ensuring that the institution is not using more resources, or that those resources used are sustainable in the long term. Okay? But yes, definitely SDGs is a good source and guide. And the NICI, all I can say is the board has a huge responsibility for the adoption and implementation of this environmental strategy. The first step is board buy-in. Totally, definitely, yes, absolutely. You need the board buy-in, and that's why these type of tools not giving these workshops to impact investors, to FSPs, to consultants that are working directly with the board, and making awareness raising that this, like having an environmental strategy, is key for the institution, is a must. And I think that the easiest way in order to have the board buy-in is understanding that all of these environmental risks, climate risk for the institutions, translate directly into financial risks. If your client is not protected for the next climate event or for a deteriorating infrastructure that they have, it will be the next default or the next segment that will not be in the capacity to repay, or that will not come again to the institution. And that financial risk will cling the bill. And unfortunately, we had to wait until it is already a financial risk. But if an institution comes in with their ADN, with their mission, this is what this is the only way that we want to do things. We're not here offering these loans just because we see here a high demand for the firewood sellers, but because we believe that now we can improve the livelihoods, or we can improve the chances, or we can upgrade these communities and live in a sustainable way, and we cannot wait until they migrate for better futures. But now we believe in these communities, then it will come that they will have this motivation to address and to do an environmental strategy. So, not to wait until that is a financial risk. Let's see the case of Génesis Empresarial, how they are doing this, how they're implementing the strategy. Comprehensive environmental and social management system. So, Fundación Génesis Empresarial measures the level of exposure to environmental and social risk or specific events related to climate change. They differentiate their clients with their productive activities and what are those risks and opportunities that they have, and offer them tailored products with this environmental focus and that are adapted to the needs. How they do is they are aware about like the types of clients. They have more than 16,000 indigenous clients that report an agricultural activity and who are included in their vulnerability classification that they have. They see what are their climate events or climate risk at low, medium, high level, and then they do also recommendations for their clients. Génesis Empresarial has value chains programs aiming to finance and advise small-scale agricultural producers to consider the climate risk and implement good agricultural practices or adaptation measures that will enable them to improve their production and become more resilient. And these advisories are powered by artificial intelligence. So what they are doing is implementing a digital tool where they have the assessment of what are the climate risk according or depending on what are the income generating activity of the client and their location. And this data gives, with satellite sensors, provides real-time data on the state of the soil and the climatic conditions. And this information is combined with the client's vulnerability information or their core data, and generates personalized or customized diagnoses that inform the decisions of the credit committee, and then gives as well data or alerts the clients anticipate risk situations due to climate alterations and finds alternative insurance products or adaptation projects to be financed. So this is all about the usage of data, satellite data, as well climate risk data in order to guide then the clients. What we see here, different from the other institutions, is that mostly all this data and systems management is focused on the clients, not directly on the institution itself, but this client data as well will then redirect what will the institution focus or how to improve life conditions of the most vulnerable clients that they have. And with a proper monitoring, seeing if specific climate smart solutions or agriculture practices will work in the future. So the last is about the data collection. We have the 7 minutes for the institutions. Well, I see that we have different types of participants today. Not all of you coming from financial service providers, but for those microfinance institutions that would like to have their assessment, you are invited to fill out the form. You will receive your report by the end of all the sessions. And we can do as well a comparison or benchmark for you to see what are the differences with other institutions. This tool that you see it is an open source. Open source means that any institution can implement it. You can also store it within your you can store it in your server with your IT department, or you can use the demo version that e-MFP has. As from HEDERA, we have supported the action group to digitize this tool as an Excel was impossible in terms of the all the filters, variations, and the dimension, the size of the tool. So here in a digital format, it's easier to have it in different languages to skip between the questions, to have as well an automated report. The tool is available in the different languages. So for trainers, academia, consultants, you can as well implement it with different institutions, and in the website from the Green Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance Action Group, you have the main report of the tool. You have as well training materials. You will have the recording and this presentation so that you can go in depth within your institution, and as well, you like any question that you have or any comment, just feel free to contact us or the green at e-MFP EU, and then we will be here to solve, like to support you. We do as well as a free tool, so you can do implementation, or you can also work directly with supporters that can guide you in the implementation, and then guide you as well in the action plan development. So this is the moment for Rakshita. If you have any problem with the tool, I think there shouldn't be any issue, or you can change browser from Chrome to Safari or Firefox and see if if there is any issue. As a tool that it doesn't have user and login, so it's not that you fill out and then you close the window, and then when you open again, then your answers are lost. So I recommend that you save or you print the tool, save as PDF, you revise it carefully within your institution. Once you have the answers, then you open again the link and then fill out. Yeah. What else? I think if you have any question on this regard. Any question on the tool? Rakshita, give us a thumbs up once it works for you. For the, that we will be at the conference in Costa Rica from Red Camif. We will have a session on green inclusive finance, and as well as speed dating networking session between FSPs and investors. You are invited to participate. You can check out the information at the RedCamif's conference website, or as well contact us if you would like to know more. And as well from that I will have a workshop on digital solutions for green finance and data management before the conference that you can also attend. But encouraging you to have and use these opportunities of networking uh, besides all the trainings that we have, the sessions that we will have at Red Camif conference. Let me know if you have any questions. Once you fill out the tool, remember to submit. This is the button by the end, submit, that afterwards then the data will arrive and we will be able to do the automated report. Automated report is that you will see directly the scoring. It doesn't have any analysis. It doesn't have a judgment whether it's not enough, sufficient, or your maximum top rating. It's just about like an overview of and a picture of where are you standing. Use the questionnaire, use these indicators, go through the tool on a slow pace, or dedicate time to it so that you can get inspired and see what are other institutions doing, what could you do as institution, or if you are an impact investor, or if you are in multilateral organizations, see where could you support your FSPs? Where could you provide them guidance? In which areas do you think specific workshops could help FSPs to get an awareness? And as we see that there is also a demand on budget, on support for them to develop their environmental strategy, think about, or and let's use this moment to as well consider the support that FSPs may require in the future. To everyone, let's use any question, any comment. Tell me, this is your last chance for today before we see each other again next week. Did you learn today about the Dimension Zero environmental strategy? Thank you very much, Osman, Nisi, Liana. All good. Thank you, Alan. You are expert. I'm very glad that you are here. You are also, you have a long trajectory. Great that from Philippines you are going to implement the Green Index 3.0, and that as multiplying effect with MCPI that you can support all your FSPs. Catherine, thank you. Thank you very much for the microfinance networks that you are implementing here. An opportunity also to invite your FSPs and guide them. And keep tuned to the next sessions. You will receive the presentation. You will receive all the links or materials. If you have specific questions or topics that you would like further to discuss, let me know so that I can address them in the next session. Thank you very much for your kind words. Cynthia, Vipasha, Barum, Chris, to everyone. Benson, thank you very much. So with this, here we'll leave you. The contact is green@e-MFP.eu for the Green Inclusive and Climate Smart Finance Action Group from the European Microfinance Platform. We're very happy to bring you again this second session on our second shot of Green Index 3.0 trainings. We have completed today your first one, and looking forward to the next 3 sessions that we will have. With me, the next one, and then with David, the number 3 and 4. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening, morning, day to all of you. Thank you.